now comes to the time to hear from individual field workers, and we've got 4 of our field workers who are going to give testimonies about different areas of the work at the moment. So we're first going to hear from Yasuko. Yasuko, of course, comes from Japan, but she's serving in Myanmar on the Southeast Asian team, but we've just changed her job description to add in Japan as well. And Yasuko, you're going to tell us about what's been happening in Japan. Thanks, sister.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to share about, what is going on in Japan. So I will share. So there are 2 major Christian medical groups in Japan. Japanese Christian Medical Association, JMCA, is registered under ICMDA, and another one is Evangelical Medical Fellowship. And from student time, I'm involved with actually EMF, and I organized EMF annual conference twice when I was a student. And during the World Congress, I met Dr. Imamura face-to-face first time, and he invited me to the annual conference of JCMA in August. So this is a conference. There are a big group of a lot of well-known senior doctors and professors, and I was so surprised with that, and about 100 members attending. On website of ICMDA, it mentioned about Japan, actually, and, early stage, in 1938, the initiating medical missions were mentioned. So this is a history of JCMA, that in 1938, students served for Chinese and opened the hospital in China, actually. And after the World War II, their fellowship was started. And in 1960, JCMA became a member of ICMDA. And actually, their members have been leading medical missions in many ways and then played important role, actually. And there are several well-known Christian hospitals in Japan, and telephone counseling for committing suicide was led by their members. Hospice or terminal care was introduced, by their Christian hospitals. And many members have been deeply involved in TV and leprosy area to share his love. They actually formed Japanese Overseas Christian Medical Cooperative Service, JOCS, to send their many workers overseas. Now they are sending 3 workers in Tanzania and other parts of the world. Their workers was very committed and well-known in Japanese society. One of them is Dr. Iwamura, and he served in Nepal for many years. They publish, the magazines called Medicine and the Gospel. So they're focusing on evangelism and education for medical workers and students, and showing how Christian workers could serve in medical field. And this is a conference. I was very encouraged by meeting members from them, and they were very welcoming and mature and also serious to discuss how, they can serve in their areas. And many members are very, well-known professors or CEO of the hospitals, but very humble and seeking how to serve, God and people. A little bit sad, but, this group became more ecumenical theologically, but they serve in society so well. However, they do not have younger generations, mostly 60s, 70s, 80s. And this time, actually the first time, they intentionally invited some nursing students. They are seeking to connect with the younger generations and pray for the relationship with EMF. Actually, we are invited, I am invited, and another doctor from EMF share testimonies during the conference. And the main speaker shared clearly about the gospel. And the many members were very deeply moved by the message, and I felt God is at work among them. And this is EMF Evangelical Medical Fellowship online in August. Peter, Hedwin, and I were given time to share about ICMDA. And this conference was organized by the students. they serve with IFES, that's more students are involved in. So they organize medical mission trips to Philippines as well. So this is a leadership team of East Asia, ICMDA. And next year, Japan will host exchange program in Ishigaki Islands in Okinawa, very beautiful place. Dr. Imamura organizes this. So please pray for students and young doctors to come and join. So these are prayers for Japan, pray for Japanese students and doctors to join ICMDA training tracks. I am trying. Pray for Dr. Imamura for preparation of the exchange program next year, and pray for the students to come, and pray for good interactions with the EMF, and they have more students contacts as well. So thank you for listening.
Thanks so much, Yatsuko. And Yatsuko has been an amazing catalyst for this activity, and we're just so pleased that she's able to serve in her home country of Japan as well as in Southeast Asia. And some real encouragements and great things to pray for. Let's move on now to Alex Bolek. And Alex is going to talk about the global or the Mission Healthcare Conference in East Africa and challenges in the Horn of Africa, one of our pioneer areas. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Nice to be back again in our meeting. And I just want to share briefly about a brief feedback from the Global Missions Conference in East Africa. This actually took place September 7 to 9 in Nairobi, at the Catholic University Conference Center. And the theme was Yoke Together for Holistic Impact. And there were a lot of good plenaries and over 20 breakout sessions, which I will mention briefly. But the main reason I attended the GMC was to connect with people from the Horn of Africa. My main focus, which is now my main focus, for the last many years have been focused in the southern part of East Africa. So I witnessed DRC Congo, Burundi, and in this last World Congress, Rwanda, coming to ICMDA family. And now my main focus is the Horn of Africa. And Yared from LIA visited Juba, and he told me there were people coming from the Horn of Africa to the GMC, and he told me that would be a good opportunity to connect with those people. So I went there, and I met two key people. One who is before us is the director of LIA in Djibouti, and he connected me with the doctors in Djibouti. And I also met somebody from Eritrea. So we are now, those contacts have been established. And now I'm discussing about possible visit to those countries in the coming future, maybe in the next few months before the end of the year or early next year. So that was my main reason to come to the GMC. But again, while I'm there, of course, I had to attend the conference, the 6 plenaries. There were a lot of good talks. Kwame spoke about, he spoke on the theme of the conference, Yoke Together for Holistic Impact. He drew like 4 main lessons from 1 Chronicles 12. We need to share our skills for service, be surrendered wholly to the Lord, to serve him. As Musai said, we are yours, King David. And blessed are those who serve you, and blessed are those who give you the support you need. And then being single-minded as we serve the Lord. And the purpose of David's army were to make David king. So he stressed on that point that we come together, especially as now for us as field workers, our main purpose is to make Jesus king in the healthcare field, and then provide holistic service. So the second talk was missionary replacement, reset, and reboot. A lot of good talk on that. And he started, this is by Gil Odendal. He started giving a little background about the state of the church. For example, the declining church membership in the Western world, for example, US. There's a lot of declining church membership in England. England is becoming a non-Christian country. But there's good news about other countries and about other continents. For example, Africa is the continent with most Christians in 2018. And there has been a lot of increase from 2.5% in 1900s to 5% of Christians around the world after 70 years. And he said about 1 million people come to Christ every week. And that is really good news. And the church is the most dynamic organization in the world today. So we see a lot of good things happening in spite of the difficult situation around the world, a lot of people coming to Christ. So he talked about replacement, about we need to, replace the old wineskin for revival to come. And then he talked about reset and reboot. And for example, that when we reset and when we reboot, then new things happen. And it has to start with the renewal of our minds and our thinking. And then he talked about practical applications to that. The third plenary was about building trust in partnerships. And that was another great talk that Robert Langert brought on board. And he talked about interdependence in partnership, relationships, trust, achieving common goals, and expansion of God's kingdom. And then he talked about the basis of partnership, theology of partnership, and all of those is summed up that we need to partner with each other. Of course, we need to partner with other people to bring, to expand God's kingdom. The fourth plenary was a panel discussion by women. Dr. Florence Muindi was, who is the chairman of, the founder and chairman of Life in Abundance. He had this panel of 4 women, and they discussed about the role of women in ministry. And I think the whole summary was that women play a big role in ministry. So men and women can put hands together and serve the Lord. The fifth plenary was compassionate care for the terminally ill by our own member Mpanelo from South Africa, bringing God's presence into the palliative care and Christ-like character, and bringing the aroma of Christ into the palliative care. And then professional competence, of course, is need. And he discussed about the sacred secular divide, which should not be, because we need to bring God's presence also into the health fields. And then he talked about compassion in healthcare. And then the last one is about going together as one. Gender, generation, and denomination all need to come together as one and put their hands together to bring God's kingdom. There were over 21 breakout sessions, which I'm not going to go through them, but in a nutshell, that is the GMC, and I was glad that I was able to attend, to connect especially with people from the Horn of Africa, and to attend those great talks. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks very much, Alex. And it just highlights, I think, the importance of partnerships, particularly, and events like this. The Global Mission Healthcare Conference in East Africa brings people together from all over Africa, and relationships are formed and new initiatives started, and you can see the positive effect for us in terms of building links in that new pioneer area of the Horn of Africa, where there's been so much trouble over the years. So thanks very much, Alex. Next up, we've got Diana Safina. Diana is our field worker in Russia, based in Moscow. We don't hear a lot about Russia, and the focus has been very much on Ukraine. But Diana, could you please tell us about what's been happening in Russia recently, and particularly with regard to the national conference you've had? Thanks.
Thank you. Greetings to everyone. Our conference was held in the beginning of August, and it's a biannual congress that the last time we had it was in 2019, and it was supposed to be in 2021, but due to the COVID, we postponed it. And then in 2022, because of the war, we postponed it again. We felt it was not the time to do it. So this time, this year, it finally took place, and we had 86 medical people who came from more than 30 different cities of Russia. And it was held in an olden church building that you can see on the photo. And it was in a small town in Tver region. It's actually not far from the place where our Nobel, our regional secretary, actually went through his medical studies probably about a couple of centuries ago. Every time I see a meeting of Christian medical professionals, I wonder how God really uses it to overcome the barriers between different denominations, between different generations, and also nationalities, as in Russia there are many nationalities that live together and unite us into one body. The first 3 days of the Congress, it was a youth pre-conference, and there were 27 young medical professionals who came, students and residents. And on the photo on the right, you can see Maxim and Yana. They are a wonderful couple of young doctors who are the leaders of our medical youth, and they have a passion for God and passion for medical youth ministry, and we're very thankful for them. Here are a few slides with the activities they were doing, some practical seminars, some fun time, which is an inevitable part of every youth gathering, I believe. Then there were 3 days of main Congress, and on the photo on the left, you can see Nikolai Vasilyev. He's the leader of our medical association. We've had many seminars. There were 25 altogether, and particularly we chose 4 of them to sparkle interest towards certain training tracks that we're about to launch this year. That would be regular training tracks in Russian language that we really need, that we really think that our medical people would benefit from, because we see the new generation, and we realize that there are so many resources we can give them, and including those training track materials that were developed by ICMDA during these last years. So we hope to hold it. So particularly, we chose 4 topics right now for regular trainings. There would be cell line, that would be leadership training, there would be medical mission, and holistic patient care with prime resources as well. On this slide, you can see Alona. Probably some of you met her and Sveta coming for the World Congress in Tanzania. They were sharing their experience as well. And many people were encouraged by what they heard, and they were also encouraged to visit one of the next ICMDA Congress in future, and also learn English, because many Russian people do not know English well enough for that, and also to participate in medical missions, because very few medical workers in Russia have ever been to medical missions outside of Russia. And this slide, I wanted to say that we're thankful to God for this Congress, because it was a beautiful time of meeting some new medical people and catching up with old friends. And we had the opportunity to encourage one another and pray for one another, and build some plans for the future. If God's will, we hope to have next Congress in 2025. And we're thankful also for ICMDA help, because I really see that ICMDA here is also helping to strengthen national movement. At this slide, this is my last slide, and here there was one more photo, but I decided to delete it. But I still want to share just briefly this story. This was a photo of a couple, an older couple, a doctor and his wife, who came to this Congress from Mariupol city. Probably some of you heard it was a city that was really badly destroyed during the war. And this couple, they were not believers. They did not go to church before, and they used to live and work in that city for all their life. And after they came out from their basements, after the heavily strokes stopped, they saw one of the first people they saw were some Christian people that were trying to deliver water and bread and some clothes, because there were people who really didn't have it. Even for the sake of their lives, they went and did that. And this couple, they finally came to the church, and they came to Christ, and now they're ministering in that church as well. And they were able to come to our Congress. And the reason why I wanted to share this is because I see that God continues his work even in the midst of the most difficult situations, even in the midst of war. Whatever situation, bad situation we can face, God is still, we should remember that God is still at work, no matter what. My husband, he's a pastor, and he has been traveling every month to that near war zone for the last year and a half. And he says that never ever in his life he's seen so many open doors for the gospel in the government institutions, like hospitals, like schools, like administrations of the cities, and so many open hearts for God that he sees in those areas these days. So I would like to end also with ask for you to continue pray for people. Because some people, I understand that it might be difficult for some people to pray for the country, but pray for people, because God continues his work in people's lives everywhere. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Diana. And these are things that we don't hear much about, but I wonder if you knew that there are a lot of Russian Christians who are going into East Ukraine to provide support and seeing God doing amazing things. So God is working through all of these difficult situations, and it's wonderful to see this new life, and particularly among the students in Russia. So our final presentation this morning from Fieldworker is from Hedwin, and Hedwin's been on a couple of recent trips to Korea and to Philippines, and is going to talk about the conferences there. Thanks, Hedwin.
The recent trip to Korea last July. The trip was, so the conference was 24th to 29th of July. And you may surprise that it's the 88th conference. So you may imagine how long CMF Korea has done this conference, but I actually find out that they do two conferences every year. And each conference attended by so many people. So this one, the 88th CMF conference, was attended by 700 medical students, one of the biggest medical student conference in the world. So attendance around 700 medical students from Korea and 22 medical students and junior doctors from Indonesia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Mongolia, Kyrgyzstan, Germany, and students junior studying in Georgia from India, Nigeria, and Gabon. So there are around 22 international medical students joining this CMF Core Retreat, and they have their own program, the international students. But we have some plenary together, and also we have some simultaneous translation for English and Russian speaking people. So they translate from Korea to English, Korea to Russian. And the current students, the 700 medical students, they are divided into the EBS group and GBS group, the evangelistic group and the general group. Evangelistic group, mostly freshmen, the new medical students, they focus on repentance, assurance of salvation, and the GBS focus on discipleship and mission tracks. So there are like 3 parallel groups in the 6 days conference, the EBS, the GBS, and the international student. And we do plenary together in some particular evenings. They have 15 full-time pastors and 1 full-time doctor with the same role with other pastor. Retreat is done twice a year, one in summer, one in winter. Winter has less participants and not open for international students. They have 8 regions, each has their own leader. 1 pastor oversees 5 to 6 campuses. And I find out they are very active on Instagram, and each CMF, each campus has their own Instagram, and suddenly I follow like more than 20 Instagram accounts of the CMF group. And this is one of their, so if you imagine K-pop and K-drama, so I see both manifestations in the CMF Core retreat. So you can see this is how they do celebration of praising God. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I hope you can hear the sound. And then this is also some of their celebration in the evening. And so they are very creative young people. And this is our international group. You can see people from Africa, from India, also in this group. And these are the small groups. We have lots of small group discussions, and this small group discussion goes until 12 midnight. And they put it in the schedule, 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. I was shocked to see that schedule, but it's like written schedule. You have a small group from 10 p.m. until midnight. And then, yeah, lots of, and we have a very nice Korean dessert here. And my role as field worker is, the background is ICMDA East Asia, a little bit lack of connection with the young people. So we need to build bridge between young students with the ICMDA movement. My role is to build natural friendship with the students that we meet, especially Korean students, introduce ICMDA programs to leaders and students, not to compete with their programs, because CMF Korea has so many programs already, but to equip whenever necessary. I hope many young Koreans will be involved in training tracks. And I got the chance to meet the leaders, and of course meet with Prof. Kim and Dr. Han, and also share about the Jeju World Congress to this amazing group of people.
Thanks very much, Hedwin. Well, there you see two movements which are very mature and well developed. The KCMF in Korea, which is a member of ICMDA with 700 plus students at their conference, one of the biggest in the world,